other systems, because nervous system is the system which controls the whole body and mind. So it is good for me. So we'll go ahead. Now the system which we are going to study is very dear to us, because this is the system which we utilize the whole day and we wish to utilize the whole day. अभी लेक्चर हो गया तो क्या खाना खाना है, क्या नाश्ता करना है, वो मन में विचार आ जाता है तुरंत. So we are thinking about this system all the time. So just a joke, but this is called a digestive system. Is also called as gastrointestinal system. Is also called as alimentary system. These are the three names which are given to this system. So even though we follow digestive system, these are the three names. These are the same. So we should know these are the same. Somebody says GI system, somebody says alimentary system. These are the same. Now, as we know, there are basic needs of human beings are three. They are called as food, shelter, and clothing. So these are the basic requirements of any human being to live their life fruitfully. And food is the most important. Food is the first and foremost. जैसे पहले जमाने में थे, आदमी कपड़े नहीं पहनता था या शेल्टर उसको घर नहीं था, शायद वो गुफा में रहता था, लेकिन खाना तो खाता था. मतलब food is a basic requirement of human being. So that's why we are going to study what happens to the food which we eat, and that we study in the form of digestive system. Straight away, we'll describe the system. When I discuss the systems, will be first I'll try to discuss about the structure or anatomy of the system, and then I'll discuss the physiology of the system, that means the function of the system, and then we'll discuss about the changes or yogic concept of that system. But along with as we go on with the discussion, there will be overlaps. So I may be talking about function while describing the structure, or I may be talking about the yoga aspect while describing the function. So there will be overlapping like that. So, and then we'll have a small recap later on. The digestive system has got two aspects. One is the main aspect is that gastrointestinal canal. So there is a hollow tube which starts from the mouth and ends at the anus. Then the main aspect of digestive system, that's why it's called as GIT also. So it is around 30 feet in length. 30 feet लंबाई या 30 से भी ज़्यादा फीट लंबाई है उसकी, मुंह से लेकर गुदद्वार तक. तो इट इज सो वंडरफुल. हमारी हाइट कितनी है? 5.5-6 फीट हाइट है, लेकिन ये ट्रैक जो है, ट्यूब है, इज मोर देन 30 feet in length. Apart from that tube, there are some organs which are part of the digestive system which help in digestion. Those are called as accessory organs. So teeth, tongue, salivary glands, liver, gallbladder, and pancreas. We are going to describe or discuss all of these later on as we go ahead. This is the diagram of the system. Okay, I'm not able to see that. Anyway, so this is a system which starts from the mouth and ends at the anus. So we'll just see. I hope you are able to see this picture. If you are attending with laptop, then you can see that better as compared with mobile phone. But we'll describe the structures. So it starts with the oral cavity. As you said, the name is called as oral cavity or mouth. What we call as mouth has got oral cavity. The oral cavity has got tongue and teeth, which are present in the oral cavity. Then there is a throat called as pharynx. यहाँ पर pharynx शब्द आया है. So we should know that pharynx is the back area after mouth. Then what we call as throat in our common language. Then there is esophagus, जिसको अन्ननलिका कहते हैं. ये esophagus यहाँ पर दिखता है, tube-like structure. Then there are salivary glands. Now in body, one peculiarity of the body is that there are many pairs in the bodies. There are many structures in pairs. Like thyroid, there are two structures, two thyroid are there in pairs. And so many structures are in pair. Some structures are not in pairs, they are single. So similarly, salivary glands are in pairs. There are three salivary glands. One is called as parotid gland, one is called as submandibular gland, and one is called as sublingual gland. So no need to remember these names, but we should remember that the salivary glands which produce saliva are located below our jaw, the lower jaw, and just near the ears here. So these are locations of major salivary glands. Then there is esophagus, as can be seen here. Now we have talked about different cavities in the body. The esophagus travels through the thorax, travels through the chest cavity. Then there is a diaphragm in between. There is a diaphragm, there is a screen called a diaphragm in between thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. Diaphragm is talked about in the yoga class frequently क्योंकि diaphragm ये बहुत ही important हिस्सा है हमारे system का. तो diaphragm divides the chest cavity and the abdominal cavity. So the esophagus passes through, there is a small hole in diaphragm through which the esophagus passes to the abdominal cavity, and then the abdominal cavity, this stomach is located. The stomach is a larger tube than esophagus. As we can see, this stomach has got a peculiar shape like that, half round shape, and then this upper part of the stomach is larger as compared to lower part of the stomach. जैसे एक बर्तन रहता है ना, ऊपर वाला हिस्सा बड़ा है, नीचे वाला हिस्सा छोटा है, वैसा बर्तन है. या नेति पॉट हमारा जो रहता है उसके तरह उसका थोड़ा सा शेप है, ऐसा बोल सकते हैं. So after the stomach, the intestine starts. There are two types of intestine. One is called as small intestine. One is called as large intestine. The small intestine is longer as compared to large intestine, but large intestine is more in diameter. That's why it's called as large. But small intestine is much longer than the small intestine is much longer than the large intestine. We should remember that. Now, the small intestine starts here after the stomach ends. Then there are three aspects of small intestine. And then there is an intestine here, the other part of intestine. So there is a duodenum. As you can see here, duodenum is the first part of intestine, small intestine. Then there is a ileum. Ileum is there. So, and the large intestine has got three parts. As you can see here, this is a peculiar shape of large intestine. Now here, the small intestine starts at the end of the stomach. It passes through round and round and round because it is so much long that it is coiled inside our abdomen. As you can see, the coils are there. So it's coiled inside the abdomen. And the end part of the small intestine is here. As you can see here, that is where the large intestine begins. Now there are three aspects of large intestine. One is called an ascending colon, which goes up against the gravity. There is a transverse colon, which goes from right side of the body to left side of the body here. Then there is a descending colon from left side to the downward side. So there are three parts of large intestine. So, and the last part of the tube is that it's called a rectum and the anus. As you can see, the rectum and anus. So as we take the food, it starts from the teeth here, passes through the oral cavity, through the pharynx, through the esophagus, through the stomach here, then through the small intestine, circular manner like this, like this, like this, then large intestine, upwards, sidewards, downwards, and then rectum and comes out. This is the journey of the food which starts from the mouth and ends at the anus. I hope you understand the whole system here. And then there are accessory organs. Already we have talked about teeth and tongue here. Now as you can see here, there is a liver here. The stomach is on the left side, liver is on the right side. We should know the position of the stomach. Stomach is on the left side, liver is on the right side. This is the right side, this is the left side. And as you can see here, this is a pancreas located just behind a transverse colon, and it is in the arch of the small intestine. We'll see that later on. So these are the accessory organs. If we cut open a typical digestive system part, then there are these layers present in that part. There is a covering of the tract. As we know the tube, for example, we see different tubes in the market. We see the tube which we use for watering the plants. And sometimes you find there is a wire which is winding inside that plastic tube. And sometimes there are different layers of the tube, like wire has got different layers. Similarly, the digestive tract has got different layers in that covering. And these layers are, they are just the names, don't need to remember those names. The inside part is called as mucosa, the mucosa. Now mucosa is the part which covers the whole of digestive tract. जैसे हम देखते हैं कि हमारा skin है, just like the skin covers the outer part of the body. Similarly, mucosa, the skin continues as mucosa. As you will see that the skin continues as the lips, and from lips the mucosa continues. The skin is much more tougher as compared to mucosa. Mucosa is not as tough as the skin because skin has to face the outside environment. But it is the mucosa which is inside lining of the digestive system. That's why we should know about mucosa. We can forget about other technical names like submucosa, serosa, muscularis. We can forget about that. But Mucosa, we should know as a yoga student. We'll see the significance of that later on. So it's an inside covering of the digestive tract. There is there inside the nose also, inside the respiratory tract also. नाक के अंदर भी वही mucosa रहता है. ये ट्यूब है called as GI system. ये कट की हुई है. There are different layers of that tube. You will find that blood vessels are also going to the tubes. Because why blood vessels are going to the tubes? Because the tubes are also made up of cells, and cells or tube also require supply of oxygen and glucose to continue functioning. So those small blood vessels supply the glucose and oxygen and other nutrients to the cells of that covering of that digestive tract. So these are the blood vessels, and there are nerve cells, or there are nerves also going there, because nerves are important in carrying the signals from brain to the body and body to the brain. That's why nerves are also present there, and there are different linings of the digestive tract. And then there is a hollow structure called as lumen inside that. As you can see lumen here, and you can see those glands. There are this is a peculiarity of digestive system, that there are glands located in different parts of the system which supply some kind of chemicals inside this digestive tract. So we start about different structures of the digestive system. The cross section of the person here. As you can see, this is nose, this is the mouth or oral cavity, this is the tongue which is present in the oral cavity. We take food from here, then the tongue will push that food in the pharynx. As you can see this food, can you see this food here? It's not food, actually it's a tonsil, but we can consider there is a food here, and then that food goes to the esophagus. Now this is the esophagus. Can you see the esophagus? Or the food pipe is located on the back side, and the air pipe is located in the front side. Air pipe is called as trachea. This is a trachea, and this is called as esophagus. Now trachea is made up of cartilage. यहाँ पर हम feel करते हैं ना, गर्दन में feel करते हैं, वो trachea है, मतलब वहाँ से हवा अंदर जाती है. That trachea is always open. Why it is open? It's made up of stiff structure called as cartilage. It's just like bone. उसका बना हुआ रहता है. So trachea is always open. And esophagus is made up of muscles. So esophagus is collapsed all the time. मतलब जो हम हवा लेते हैं वो हमारे हमेशा लंग्स के अंदर जाती है और वहां से बाहर निकलती है. This is because there is a door there called as epiglottis. As you can see a door called as epiglottis. Epiglottis क्या काम करता है? जब हम खाना खाते हैं तो खाने को वो हमारी सांस नलिका को जाने नहीं देता है. So it doesn't allow the food material or any solid object for that matter to enter the trachea. As we know that even a small particle enters the trachea, immediately we'll cough it out because we don't want any particles to enter our lungs, and as a protective mechanism of the body. So this epiglottis is a door. When we eat our food, it closes over the trachea. So the food doesn't go to trachea, food goes only to esophagus. कभी-कभी क्या हो जाता है, as we experience many times, we are talking also, we are excited sometimes we are watching TV and देख रहे हैं क्या-क्या चल रहा है बाहर, तो unduly we get excited without any reason, and we are having our food and we are talking to our friends, तो क्या हो जाता है, we start coughing when we are eating, because what happens that जल्दी-जल्दी में वो जो अन्न है वो ट्रैकिया में चला जाता है. So if we don't allow that little bit time, then very little bit time is required for that epiglottis to close. So if we don't allow that, we are talking also. When we are talking, we know that our air pipe is open because the air has to pass out when we are talking. So we are talking also and we are eating also. That time the body gets confused and sometimes the food will go to the trachea. So this is the function of epiglottis. So we understand. जैसे मैंने देखा कि जब भी वो सही नहीं होता है फंक्शन तो हमको पता चलता है. तो अगर वो खाना अंदर चला जाता है एयर पाइप में तो हमको पता चलता है कि उसमें कुछ गड़बड़ है. Otherwise we are not aware of that. So what happens that when we eat food, this epiglottis closes over the trachea, so the food will go only in the esophagus. जैसे हम धौती क्रिया करते हैं, आपने शायद धौती क्रिया की होगी या उसके बारे में जाना होगा. In धौती क्रिया there is one क्रिया called दंड धौती. तो दंड रहता है, that is made up of rubber that goes from the mouth to the esophagus. Esophagus से अंदर वो डालते हैं अगर दंड को. So we need practice for that because we will train our body so that instead of food, we'll allow the rubber to go there. Otherwise, the rubber will not go there. The body will throw it out. So this is the function of the body. So epiglottis. then there are peculiar structures called as sphincters in the digestive system. Sphincters are nothing but valves. जो valves रहते हैं ना, you must have heard that कभी हम घर में plumbing का काम करते हैं and the plumber says that आपको एक non-return valve लगाना पड़ेगा. Non-return valve लगाना पड़ेगा मतलब पानी एक ही दिशा में जाएगा, उल्टा नहीं जाएगा पानी. Similarly, in the digestive system, in the normal circumstances, there is only one-way traffic. Only one way traffic. The food will pass only from mouth to the anus, not the reverse way. If something goes wrong, then we'll vomit it out. But otherwise, all these valves open only in one direction. So these are the important valves of the system. One is called as cardiac sphincter. As you can see here, this is the esophagus. I hope you can see this diagram. Esophagus that continues as stomach, but in between esophagus and stomach, there is a cardiac sphincter. So when the stomach is full, that valve will close. That will not allow extra food to pass there. Now many times what we experience is that हम बहुत ज़्यादा खाना खाते हैं, तो क्या होता है, थोड़ा खाना बाहर निकलता है. And as we are going to discuss further, the stomach contains acid. If the food material from the stomach comes up because there is excess food, अभी देखते हैं कि ये प्रेशर ऐसा वाल्व बंद हो गया है और यहाँ से काफी सारा प्रेशर बढ़ गया है क्योंकि ज़्यादा खाना खाया है. So that valve will open up slightly and that food will pass to the esophagus. Now esophagus does not have protective lining inside that tube, so there is a irritation. हमारे अंदर typical acidity का irritation यहाँ पर महसूस होता है हमको. Acid stomach में है और थोड़ा भी acid यहाँ पर आ गया तो हमको महसूस क्या होता है? It has come in the reverse direction. जैसे देखते हैं ना कि one way traffic है. आजकल बहुत से cities में one way traffic चलता नहीं है, लोग कैसे भी जाते हैं. But ideally, there is supposed to be one-way traffic. But if there is somebody comes in the opposite direction, you know that accident will take place. Similarly, in body there are no accidents. So body is very much organized as compared to the behavior of our human beings. मतलब हम कैसा भी रास्ते से चलते हैं, हम रूल्स नहीं पालन करते, लेकिन बॉडी में ऐसा नहीं होता है. खाना एक ही दिशा में जाएगा नॉर्मली. अगर कुछ गलती हुई तो खाना उल्टी दिशा में जाएगा. The cardiac sphincter. Then there is a pyloric sphincter. जो sphincter यहाँ पर है. So that is the sphincter which separates the stomach from the intestine, and that's why these two sphincters are very important. हम खाना खाते हैं तो क्या हो जाता है? Both the walls are closed, so the food is enclosed in the stomach. मतलब हम गुब्बारे में हवा भरते हैं उसको बंद कर देते हैं ना, वैसा हो जाता है. So there is no way the food can pass back to the esophagus. Neither the food can pass front to the small intestine. So it remains in the stomach because a lot of reactions have to take place and time is required for that. And that's why these two valves are very important. Then there is a ileocecal valve which is located here. And one more important thing is that anal sphincter. So हमारा anus है, there are two ring-like valves there. One is the external anal sphincter. The one is internal anal sphincter. The internal anal sphincter is not under our conscious control, it is involuntary. The external anal sphincter is under our conscious control to some extent. So हमको अगर टॉयलेट जाना है और हमको टॉयलेट नहीं है, टाइम नहीं है, तो we can suppress that for some time because the outer muscles have got control of our mind. और बच्चों में ये कंट्रोल नहीं रहता है. We know we have to do toilet training of the infants because infants don't have control over the external sphincter. As they grow up, they start developing control over external anal sphincter. The internal sphincter is under unconscious control, involuntary control. Then, as we can see in this picture, this is the division. This is not the real picture, just to show diagrammatically. This is a diaphragm. Diaphragm is a dome-like structure, not straight structure. But here it is shown the difference between the thoracic cavity and abdominal cavity. Now, abdominal cavity is a very important aspect. Of course, everything is important in our body, but important in the sense that just like the heart and lungs have got protection of the rib cage. Heart और lung हमारे बहुत ही important structures है, and they have got Z security called as rib cage. But there are many organs in the abdomen. Liver है, pancreas है, the digestive system है, या reproductive system है. उन लोग को Z security नहीं है. So they have provided different kind of security to them called as muscles. As we can see, these are the abdominal muscles. They are called as recti muscles. Now six packs वाले सबको पता है. These are the two bands, as we can see here. These are the two broad bands of muscles which pass from the lower part of the sternum to this bone here. So जो आगे वाला हिस्सा है हमारी एब्डोमिनल कैविटी का, उसको प्रोटेक्शन देने का काम ये मसल्स करते हैं. These are very strong muscles. And from back side we have got vertebral column. Vertebral column पीछे से है. And then this is the recti muscle, and there are strong muscles on the sides. So they are in two different direction. एक मसल ऐसा जाता है, उसके बाहर का मसल ऐसा जाता है. And that's how it protects the whole abdominal cavity. जो स्ट्रक्चर जो है वो हमारे स्नायु पर डिपेंड करता है. और जैसे हम देखते हैं कि एक स्नायु का टोन कम हो जाता है पेट का, तो क्या हो जाता है हमको पता है. जैसे जैसे हम एज में बढ़ते हैं, या the sign of prosperity is shown on the stomach, it is said. So when that happens, that these muscles will become loose and they will no longer be able to hold the organs together. So there will be difficulties in the function of the organs inside the abdomen. So that's why these muscles are very important. The muscle tone is very important. As far as the function is concerned, six packs are not important, or yoga is concerned, six packs are not important. In fact, those who have got six packs will not be able to perform many of the asanas. So the muscle tone has to be proper. The muscle tone of these muscles have to be proper, so that they will support the abdominal organs properly inside the abdomen. So these are a list of functions of digestive system. One is called ingestion. Ingestion मतलब खाना, जो हमारी भाषा में खाना, ingestion. Taking the food inside the digestive tract is called ingestion. Then there is digestion. Digestion मतलब उसको हजम करना, जो है digestion. फिर absorption, जो the food which is digested is absorbed in the body, because that food is required for the body. That's why we are eating the food basically. Then there is assimilation of the food. Whatever is digested is absorbed, and that is that goes to different parts of the body. Supply system. These are assimilation supply chain of the body. That food materials and that nutrients are supplied to all the cells of the body. It's called assimilation. Defecation is that removal of unwanted material. So basically, digestive system deals with providing nutrients to the body. It maintains the water balance also. So we'll stop after discussing this slide. Our time is up. So basically, we are dealing with food here in this system. And we must understand that the food has got taste, it has got smell, it has got a particular temperature, it has got a texture, and how we present. यहाँ पर जैसे लगाया ना, खाना खाना लगाया हम बोलते हैं ना, कैसा भी खाना रख के हम नहीं खाते हैं. That presentation. All these are called as flavor of the food. So all these are important in deciding what food which we eat. Of course, that desire is different in different people. There are personal, there are cultural, and there are regional variations. जैसा कोई वेजिटेरियन रहेगा तो उसको कुछ खाना देखेंगे तो पसंद नहीं आएगा, वो बोले मैं नहीं खाने वाला है. और if there is a non-vegetarian person who goes to China, he will not say no, मुझे नहीं खाना है. So that likes and dislikes of the food are, they will vary as per personal, cultural, and regional things. But of course, any kind of food is going to have these attributes. So we need to remember that, and that's how we choose which is a good food. हमको बताना नहीं पड़ता है कि ये अच्छा खाना है या बुरा खाना है. बस स्मेल देखते हैं, ये बास अच्छा नहीं आता है, ये खाना सड़ा हुआ है, हमको नहीं खाना है. So these are the basic protective mechanism present, क्योंकि कुछ क्या खाना है नहीं खाना है ये डिसाइड करने के लिए ये सब चीजें काम आती है. So we'll stop here. We'll continue with the system tomorrow. So Vijay.